The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Wrestling with Johners, episode 349 and the last interview of February, the 29th of February. I don't think I've ever done a podcast on a leap year day before, but here we are for a Thursday evening and I've got none other than Mike, Peter and Craig from United Wrestling. Guys, how are you doing? And thank you so much for joining me.
We're good. Good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We over the next hour and 15, however long we go, we're going to take a deep dive into United Wrestling, the awesome 2023 that they had, what the future looks like for United Wrestling. And of course, they got their next show, March the 10th, Flip the Script from the Tap Social movement in Oxford. And we'll talk about the origins of United Wrestling, all the highlights, all of their favourite matches and moments, and say the wrestlers that have helped to make United Wrestling what it is now. But before we take a deep dive with the guys from United Wrestling, just a quick reminder, obviously February's been a very busy month for Wrestling with Johners. It kicked off with Jay Joshua, who joined me earlier on this month. And of course, Heidi Katrina, a guest of mine, probably 2.5 years ago, joined me in the month of February, just 24 hours after becoming the very first Slam Wrestling Finland Women's Champion. And speaking of Slam Wrestling Finland, Michael Maggiolati, otherwise known as the wrestling legend Starbuck, joined me in the month of February as well. Check out all of these on whatever audio platform you're listening to this on, or on YouTube, of course. And a couple of people that, or at least one person that United might be familiar with, Alexis Falcon. She's going to be featuring at the next show, Flip the Script. And of course, Scotty Rourke, one half of the United Wrestling Tag Team Champions. One half of the Dog's Bollocks was on the show just a couple of weeks ago. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because next week we've got none other than Eddie Dennis joining me on Monday, the 4th of March. That's going to be an interview you're not going to want to miss. But today it's all about these guys here, and it's all about United Wrestling. And guys, I've got to ask you, 2023 was an absolutely fantastic year. It was the year when United Wrestling came onto my radar and a lot of other people's radar for the awesome shows, the fantastic atmosphere, the great matches, moments and storylines. But when you think back to the last 12 months and how United Wrestling has really grown in that time, you're pinching yourself. You're kind of thinking, we've got a long way to go, but 2023 was a banger.
Yeah, the wrestlers talk about like their breakout year, and like, this is the year I broke out. For us, last year was just absolutely insane. It felt unreal. Still feels unreal. There was comments at the end of the year where people were going, you're one of the best companies around. And we're like, wow, thank you. Like, we never set out to be, but thank you. That's amazing. 2023 was unreal.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It always felt like it was a pipe dream that we would get our name out there and we would become, like I say, a big name. But
people actually buy tickets.
We're just grateful for everyone that comes along, and if we can put on a good show, that's the box ticked.
Yeah, and coming out of 2023, a lot of momentum, as you've just explained, as you've just described, a lot of momentum for United Wrestling, and looking forward to another busy and hopefully very successful year for United Wrestling in 2024.
Yeah, so 2024, I know you've got the graphic lined up for later, but we've actually got 10 shows now this year, or 11 shows,
possibly a 12
this year. So from last year we did 7. This time we're doing 11.
Wow.
So, it's a little bit of a growth,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk about all of that and so much more. But a little bit of a strange, weird coincidence. And I like to, hit my audience with a fact. But today being a leap year, the 29th of February, 2024, and you actually ran your second ever show, day 2 for United Wrestling. I think it was early. Well, it was obviously 29th of February, 2020, 4 years ago. So for you guys, a little bit of a full circle moment, considering how United's grown in them 4 years and where you are today.
Yeah, so day 2, I could do this all day. Yeah, I can do this all night. I can do this all day. The old fire station in Oxford, which is another amazing venue. It was also our first sellout show as well. and we had no champion, and we did a massive, great big six-person elimination match for the championship. And yeah, full circle. 4 years later, who knew?
Yeah. Could you ever imagine that in that time, and especially now, United would be putting on quality matches, quality shows with the top UK names, selling out the Tap Social, which we will talk about in detail very, very soon. But like I say, it's been a hell of a journey and a lot of success in that time, especially more recently.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know.
I think we always felt that it was possible. We just needed the right venue, and
The venue was so important.
yeah,
we never set when we set out. It was never about we want to be the next Progress or the next Rev Pro or anything like that. It was always like, can we just go and put on a good wrestling show, something that we would enjoy watching?
That's right.
So to get to the point now where we've got all these amazing people that are coming on our shows, it's phenomenal.
And asking to be on.
Yeah, the people messages you mentioned him earlier, Eddie Dennis. I got a message from him going, "Can I be on your show?" Like,
Wow.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you're not going to say no to Eddie Dennis, are you? To be honest with you, one of the biggest names of the UK scene. But we talk more about the Tap Social because I really want to kind of have a deep dive into that venue and how that's been quite an important part of your success over the last year or two. United Wrestling, I've said to you before in the flesh and via Messenger that it is very, very different, very, very unique to a lot of other promotions that I've been to, that I've seen and watched over the last however many years. It definitely does seem to be something very unique and very different about it. We're going to touch on it, but certainly the kind of intergender aspect of United Wrestling, where there doesn't appear to be any boundaries regarding male and female wrestling. And that's something that you've really made your own. But in general, the action and the atmosphere is always fantastic. At the Tap Social, it always feels like you're doing something very unique, something very refreshing, almost as if you're carving your own path in the British wrestling landscape in 2024.
I hope so. Yeah, I really do hope we are carving our own path. Well, I've never heard intergender. Don't know what that is. We just have wrestling. We just have wrestling. Like it, yeah. We've never. One of the things we set out for when we said let's do this thing was why can't people of any gender identity wrestle anybody else of gender identity? It makes no sense whatsoever having these divisions, and that's what we just stuck with. We've never knowingly gone right. We must book this person because they are X, or we've never booked this. But it's always just been about this person is a great wrestler. Let's get them on. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah. Guys, any more thoughts on that? Because I had Alexis Falcon on the show last week, and she said exactly the same, especially with a tag team partner, Charles Crowley, been on your show. That I think intergender, the term intergender, is almost becoming outdated now, and you certainly don't like using it. But I think that you were kind of bucking the trend as far as booking female and male talent against one another, whether it be in tag competition or singles competition, and it's become a staple of your shows. But still, a lot of other companies are still catching on to that, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the show we did recently, where we had Simon Quest and Means and Alexis Falcon all in one match. You've got a 6'6" guy, a 6'5" guy, and I don't know how tall Alexis is, but let's say like 5'5".
She's 5'4". 5'4".
Okay. On the face of it, you'd be like, that's ridiculous. But my God, what a great match! And Alexis is amazing. Why can't she beat up these two guys? There's no issue with it whatsoever.
It's about removing from us. We wanted to remove those barriers that you see so often in other promotions that that prevent these excellent matches going ahead. These are skilled people that can put on an amazing entertainment, and they're often not given the opportunities to do that. We wanted to take down any barrier that would prevent them from doing just that and push it forward. And it's always been at the heart of what we do. And as long as it continues to be, I think we'll hopefully start making some noise and obviously bring other people around to the same way of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have like a mission statement or a particular vision? What do you believe that United Wrestling kind of stands for and what's it all about? If you were to sum up United Wrestling to anybody that's maybe not heard or seen any of your shows yet, how would you describe it?
So we used to start all our shows with the same speech, which was leave your bias at the door, check your privilege, because everybody's welcome, and it doesn't matter. And that was kind of our statement. It was that everybody is welcome, regardless. You should never feel chastised or anything for any belief or any experience that you have in your life. If you want to come just watch some wrestling and just shut off the world for a bit, that's what we were there for. It was that was our kind of USP, wasn't it, originally?
Yeah.
And I don't think we've ever shied away from that. It's always just been, we are united, and so are you. So let's just watch some wrestling together.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And I've seen a good handful of shows at the Tap Social in 2023. A very unique venue. It's actually a brewery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I think they describe, themselves as having criminally good beer. And I think they do some awesome food as well. But I'd say it lends itself also perfectly as a wrestling venue. Rather surprisingly, let's say you've got the balcony, you've got the two sides which are filled with United Wrestling fans. But tell us about the Tap Social and why you first started using that venue for your shows.
So that kind of comes, it kind of comes in with the kind of history of how we started. So we ran our first two shows, and they were at the old fire station, or the OFS, which is a theatre on Gloucester Green in Oxford, and it's a beautiful venue. It's really, really nice. But we kind of sold it out, and we couldn't make any money there. We were like, okay, we need to find some hours. So we defaulted to the standard school. Let's find some schools. There's hundreds of schools around, and we found a really lovely little venue inside a school. And we could fit about 300 people in it. We're like, okay, this is really cool. Plus, the shape of the building was a hexagon, which is obviously our logo as well. So it really worked nicely for us. But we couldn't sell it. We had, I think the first show we might have had 20 to 30 people.
There was a little thing called COVID as well.
But that was post-COVID.
Yeah,
It was post-COVID. And most of them were family and friends. And it was like, what have we done? We can't. The OFS, it was difficult to get back in the OFS because they are so busy. We're like, what have we done? We can't keep doing this. This is not possible. Maybe wrestling isn't suitable for Oxford. And this was back when there was a couple of other wrestling companies that were previously set up in Oxford and had disappeared as well. So we're like, maybe the scene just doesn't exist here. And then I was sat. I definitely wasn't sat at work doing it. Googling, going, what venues are out there, and I don't know how. We're all from Oxford. We've all grew up here. Literally the entire lives, and I just typed in social clubs, and up popped the Tap Social. I've never heard of it before, never knew it. It's 20 minutes from where I live, and I was like, do you know what? Well, that's an amazing looking building. I wonder if we can fit a ring in there.
I was very iffy on that.
Yeah, and then I put it across to the guys, and like, you cannot fit a ring in there. It's just not going to work.
Just looking at that picture, you barely can, but it is.
Some would argue that you can't still.
Sometimes I do. I have to defend a lot of my ideas usually, and I'm like, let's just go look at it. If we turn up and it can't fit, then I won't pressurize anymore, and that'll be it. Turned up, take measures in hand. Thankfully, the guy that I don't actually know what his role is, but he works for Tap Social, but he's like really important to them. He's a massive wrestling fan as well, so he was super on board. Take measures out, ring will fit, right? Let's just do it. And obviously, we did day 5, Mayday there.
It was very loud.
And it was unreal. Yeah. I remember there was a bit just before, unless you've not seen it on social media, CJ Carter cashes in what was the blank check at that point. It was just before that happened. I went upstairs and I was chatting to him, and I was like, mate, they are so loud down there. And it was just that moment of going, yeah, this is your home, mate. You're not going anywhere now. You're staying here. And that was it. The rest was history. We made really good friends with Tap Social. They're a lovely bunch of people, and they do really good work. And we're just mutually beneficial.
There we go. I'm just going to bring up them pictures again, and like I say, there's the picture of the ring. That's one side of it. Obviously, it goes under. You've got seating underneath the balcony, and there's obviously a viewing from the balcony also. And like I said, the Tap Social being very, very good. There's obviously the picture of the bar. and
Yeah.
some fans there. The Simon section. We'll talk more about the Simon section a little bit later on. And like I say, fans, they definitely like to get involved in the action, don't they? But and they also received their own championship belt after the last show in December. Tell us a bit about that.
It was just, we just wanted to give back to them. It like I just said, without when we found the Tap Social, we set this thing up and it just took off. And we've always been pretty much every single sellout show there. It was like, without the Tap Social, we probably wouldn't be where we are now. We wouldn't be. It's not probably.
Undoubted.
It's undoubted. We would not be where we are now. It'd be hit and miss whether we were even still running. It was that's kind of how much they saved us. And we just want to give back to them. And they were like, no, you are the true champions. So here's about to prove it. Obviously designed by Hellfire Designs. And that was it. I just wanted to give back to them. And I'm hoping it's up on their wall. I haven't been down there since. So
there we go. And we've had lots of people kind of send in questions and comments already. And Richie Horrigan, who's watching us live at home, who thought of the name United Wrestling? United We Stand. So obviously coming from Oxford, would I be right to assume that you're all Oxford United fans? And would that be something to do with the name? No?
Can't stand football. Can't stand football.
We're united in a hatred for football.
If I'm really on it was me and Craig that started it. And I don't actually know where the name comes from.
I think it was just brainstorming.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. It just made sense, you know.
Cool.
Yeah, it just made sense that we wanted to do this show where everyone could be together. So therefore, we are united, and that was it.
Well, full transparency, I'm also from Oxford, and I can't stand football also, so that makes four of us. although I was a season ticket holder before I knew better.
I always driven past the Kassam Stadium and gone, do you know what? One day I'd love to do a stadium show there. You know, just because it is. I mean, it probably won't be there much longer, but.
Yeah.
No, I was a season ticket holder back at the Manor Grounds back when they were actually winning matches. But we got to Peckham Playboy Hakan. Who's watching us live via YouTube. Thank you, Hakan. United Wrestling is a place no one should sleep on. Absolutely phenomenal shows every single time. And Hakan would know that. He's performed on a few of your shows for sure. Thank you, Hakan. Keep sending in your questions. Keep sending in your comments. I've got a few more that I will read out very, very soon, but many more to come, I'm sure. And let's talk about sticking with the Tap Social and your loyal fan base that you've built up over the last 5 years, but like, be honest, you know, over the last 2 years since you've been performing out of the Tap Social movement in Oxford, and I think you've got a lot of loyalty there amongst your fan base. You've got a loyalty amongst the people that will show up, show in, show out, have a great time, revel in the atmosphere, and be an important part of the show. But talk to us a bit about the United fans, because you said, you know, back in the, you know, day one, day two from the old fire station, when you would get 20 or 30 friends and relatives through the doors and nobody else, through to selling out the last few shows. And it's a lot to do with what you guys, but also what the fans bring as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big shout out to Sam, who was at day two. He was one of the fans at day two and has been to every single show since, to the point of the ones in Reading, he's actually been helping out and working ring crew with us. So massive shout out for him. But yeah, it's amazing. We get the Questicles that are the loudest bunch of fans I think I've ever seen. And the reason Simon is the champion is purely because of them, because they made so much noise. You just like, you cannot ignore them. It was they are fantastic, and they followed us to Reading as well, which is amazing. They're a really good bunch. We've got such it's so nice just to we know them. Like,
do you remember how the Questicles came on scene?
No.
Do you not remember? We had the show on Liverpool meant to be playing. They were supposed to be showing the Liverpool match.
Really?
At the Tap. And as I understand it, most of them came along to watch the Liverpool match.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They were told, no, sorry, it's a private event, ticketed entrance, etc., etc. And they stuck around. They bought tickets and stuck around, and they've been back every time since. Yeah, and that's. I mean, we're opening doors to new audiences.
The fans are great because there's so many of them. Hamza as well. No one has been to so many shows.
He's been at every
you know, super keen. He wants to train and he wants to be a wrestling manager and all these different things. And you go, great, mate. That's awesome, you know. And you just get to know these people. Sometimes you don't know them by full name because you haven't had a chance, and that's like, oh, I know you. You're that person, right? But I know you, and yeah, it's amazing. We see him around Oxford as well because most of them are from Oxford as well, so it's really nice.
Yeah, it's also been known for you to have a four-legged fan through the door as well. I think there was a dog a few shows ago that pretty much stole the show and took the attention away from the talent.
Yeah. Bailey was actually Gary, who does the music for us, he's a DJ. His fiance brought their dog along, and then Act 2 came out for their match, and they're like, "It's a dog!" And that was it. Show stolen. This judge, the dog got everything. Yeah. All the bad guys could be like, "Oh, I hate dogs," and all the good guys went over and stroked the dog. Easy, cheapy, and easy pop.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on what I think is one of my highlights from United over the last 12 months, and possibly the same for you guys as well. And that's the 3 matches that we got from Scotty Rourke and Kira Chimera. And I've had both of them on the show. Scotty very recently. Kira was on the show in November. But I think that the chemistry that those two had in the ring as opponents, those 3 matches that they had culminating in that chain match, and just the emotion and the energy that they brought to that venue during those 3 matches through to what we know now as the Dogs Bollocks and the United Tag Team Champions. But tell us a little bit about that, because I think Scotty wasn't even originally planned to face Kira in their first match. I think he was a last-minute replacement, wasn't he? So this kind of amazing trilogy of matches and chemistry and partnership that we now have between those two was pretty much by chance, wasn't it?
Yeah, honestly. So Kira, we love Kira. Kira's great. She was at day 5, I believe. In fact, she was against
the posters on the wall.
Check the posters.
Yeah, she was at day 5. In fact, I think she was against Aluna at day 5.
Probably.
And it was, we love her. She's great. The attitude, the vibe, was everything perfect. It fitted in with us and the Tap Social and United. Excuse me. So we set up this match where it was meant to be Kira versus Aluna in a kind of no holds barred match, but unfortunately Aluna picked up a legit injury beforehand. So we were desperately trying to find someone.
A week before the show.
Yeah, it was not long before at all, and we were desperately trying to find a replacement. And I'd already kind of messaged Scotty about being on a future show, and it kind of not really got back to me. And I was like, just not interested or whatever. And I just messaged him again out of blue and said, what do you feel like? Do you fancy facing Kira? I know it's last minute, and it just all came together. We one of our things is we give people a stage, and after that it's over to them. They're the professionals.
Yes, they're the trained wrestlers.
They know what they're doing. Here's a stage, guys. Go do what you do. And they went out and they just absolutely battered each other. It really was just. I'm sat there and I'm just hearing some of the hardest kicks and punches. And I'm like, does one of them owe each other money or something? That's what it came. It was insane, and it was. I just remember sitting back, and I think Kira came up to me after, and she was like, "Oh, can I get some feedback?" I'm like, "Not really, because I kind of watched it as a fan. I have to admit, And then so it was so good, and then our Twitter, X. And Facebook and Instagram were like, we want rematches. We want a rematch. And I'm like, do you know what? I buy into that too. I want a rematch too. Let's do Kira and Rourke round 2. And then that became, let's do round 3 and let's make it a chain match. And
wow.
Kira pulled Scotty off the balcony with a chain, which is that's
one of the gruesome parts I've ever seen.
That's not pleasant. Like that's high up. It is high.
Doesn't look like it in the footage.
The chemistry was natural. They speak so highly of us when they're talking about giving them this opportunity, and it's really appreciated. But honestly, the work was all theirs. They did the work. We just gave them stage. They made the Dogs Bollocks, and it's amazing.
Absolutely, and there's a picture of the two of them having just won the United Tag Team titles. And there they are. And like I say, they've only had one match. They do have a championship defense coming up on March the 10th, which we will talk about. But I think when you talk about, the journey and the story of Kira and Scotty, the Dogs Bollocks, and becoming the tag team champions, I think they kind of, in a funny sort of way, define what United Wrestling is all about as well, don't they?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are just two people that.
They are a tag team.
Yeah, they are. They are. It is unbelievable what those two have been through and done, and how much it meant. And I didn't know any of it until they opened up and told me what, especially Kira with telling us how much. I know she spoke about it on when you had her on, what it just meant to her. And you're like, wow, I didn't know any of that. That's fantastic. I'm so glad that we got to be able to do that. And look what's coming of it. They are the world tag team champions now. They defended over in. I'm going to pronounce this terribly badly. Is it Rick's Catch?
Rick's Catch.
Yes,
Yeah,
Rick's Catch. Thank you.
You got it.
Amazing. And they mentioned it to us. Can we take them over to them? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Go for it. Your bouts. Defend them wherever you like. Please, just defend them. Yeah.
and there you go. And they are now world tag team champions, you could say, for United. But I mean, I want to shine a spotlight on a few other top stars that have really helped to make United over the last couple of years. And you can't talk about the Dog's Bollocks without talking about the Odyssey. Artemis and Adonis Payne, tag team champions, inaugural tag team champions for over 300 days. I think I've got down as 307 days, multiple defenses. It was about 9 or 10 defenses, but who, in my opinion, really grew not only as United tag team champions, but they grew as wrestlers and they grew as performers thanks to the platform that United gave them. And look at what they're doing around the UK now. But I think the Odyssey, really kind of flourished in a United ring, didn't they?
It is. I was speaking to Adonis and Artemis recently, and I went back and watched some of their first matches because I was trying to find some footage, and I'm like, wow, that where they are there to where they are now, you wouldn't even realize it was the same person. But that's not to say that they were bad then. They were fantastic. Otherwise, we wouldn't have kept them. But their growth has been absolutely insane. And you know what? I know they're supposed to be nasty heels, but what lovely, lovely people they really are.
Yeah, 100%.
And they defined our tag team division for over a year. So
just back in them that stage to do what they do best. And the only one thing we ask for is make it entertaining.
Yeah. There's no shortage of that.
Absolutely. And here they are with the tag gold when they were champions. And maybe slightly better times for memes there. But alongside Artemis and Adonis there when they were the meme team. But you can't talk about the Odyssey and Adonis Payne without talking about your current Phantomweight champion as well. And there he is. And I've said before, I worked with him at a show on Saturday and bumped into him at a show on Sunday. And like I say, everywhere I go, Adonis Payne is everywhere because he is that good. But as your current Phantomweight champion, I think he's kind of climbed a few levels since I first bumped into him a couple of years ago. But as a single star now, I think the world is his oyster and doing some phenomenal things with that championship too.
Yeah, 100%. Look, Ignite champion, which is amazing. Obviously, he had his match against Bullet Tidal recently, which was just great. Obviously, we booked him against Bullet first. Just saying. Okay, it was a triple, but even so, honestly, and I've openly said it to Adonis that I fully expect to not be able to book him soon because he'll just be so busy, and that's fantastic. That's what it should be. Lovely guy and going places. Seriously, going places to the point I have to stop hurting yourself, because you've got a long career ahead of you.
Yeah, and we got to talk about Luna or Luna Blue, but she has been your future-proof champion since about May of last year. I think that was maybe Chapter 9 or something, but a phenomenal fighting champion. She really has taken on all comers, and I've been a fan of Luna now for probably 2.5 years, I have to say. And I first bumped into her when she was probably only 5 or 6 matches in, and now she's taking the UK by storm. But the first ever future-proof champion for United Wrestling. And I think every match she has clawed and scratched and fought and kicked her way to another victory over top competition. And she is still the future-proof champion and doing a phenomenal job as the champion as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of everyone talks about the Dog's Bollocks matches, but secretly one of my favorite ones was her versus Nico.
Oh, my favorite too.
It was just
Brutal.
it was just absolutely brutal. It was so good, and yeah, what a match! You know, it was an interesting one as well because when Nico made his entrance, and obviously Nico's a star, you know, already, and the audience was silent. I was like, oh, you know,
Scary.
this is going to be a problem. They don't know who he is. This is really bad. And Aluna comes out to the biggest pop of the night. Amazing, you know. And then as the match goes on, and everybody was out of their seats.
As soon as he kicked her.
Yeah, and and again, yes, she has defined the future proof. The future proof was was the blank check originally, so you can cash it in on a shot at the United Wrestling Championship whenever you want. So it's kind of golden ticket. It's the money in the bank, if you want to call it that, for copyright infringement. But she really has defined the future proof championship, and she has. You're right, Scotty Walk and Nico and some other people. Harry Sefton multiple times.
Yeah, got the picture here. A whole array of top stars around the UK. But she is still the future-proof champion. And we'll talk a bit more about Aluna because I know that she has a role to play. She'll be there on the 10th of March, and we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But we have to talk about your current United champion. And we spoke about the Simon section earlier, the Questicles. And here he is immediately after winning the championship. But all 6'5", 6'6" of him. He's a towering guy. He's very intimidating when I have to do a backstage interview with him. Here he is in a recent match against Bullet, but he's every bit the champion, every bit the United champion, and a champion that United can be very, very proud of. But you mentioned about the Simon section and how loud and raucous they are being quite an important part as to why Simon Quest became the big star in United Wrestling. But tell us a bit more about Simon Quest and what really caught your eye and why you think he makes such a fantastic champion for your company.
So Simon,
It's a fluke. A lot of our stuff that happens for us is flukes.
Simon's one of the pillars of United. You know, with him, Aluna, Josh, Adonis, and Artemis. You know,
Odyssey.
Yeah, the Odyssey. Yeah, they're just the pillars. They're the ones that they all debuted on day 5, which was like almost. It was the restart. It was the reboot.
Yeah.
Day 5 for us really was. That was the first one at the Tap Social, and Simon came along. He went against Hakan.
It was a recommendation from Aluna, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
That's what I mean,
I had messaged Aluna, and I was like, no, what I really want is a really good guy. You know, really just come in and get the crowd going. She's like, you need to have Simon Quest on, and along he came, and yeah, he has been one of the most naturally over people I've ever seen, if you want to use that term. It was never forced. Never
is so backstage as well.
Nothing was forced. Nothing was. You got to do this. You got to do that. It was just he went out there, just had a really good time, and people love him because do you know what? He's a lovely person.
Yeah, he really is.
He's a really really nice guy, and it became apparent that the crowd loved him, and we got to Monster Bash 2. And it was like, if I really hope Simon wins, because if he doesn't, then there may actually legitimately be a riot. And thank God he did win. So, yeah, that moment.
There we go. But that moment was, you know, it sent chills down anybody, you know, that was watching that. It was an unexpected win, but the fans exploded, didn't they? And it was, you know, the Simon section, the Questicles, call them what you will. They really, really did revel in that moment. And it was a very special moment for 2023 and in United Wrestling's history. But I think if you were to ask Simon Quest, and if you were to say, look, you know, if he cut himself, he would bleed United Wrestling. I think that United has really done a lot for his growth as a wrestler, as a performer. I mean, he's been with you for a little while as well, even before winning the championship, hasn't he?
Yeah, day 5 last year. So he's been with us since 1st of May 2023. Yeah, 1st of May 2023. Every show. I don't think he's missed a single show since then.
No, I don't think he has.
Including the ones when we went over
to Readings.
We went to Phantom and we went to Double Barrel Brewery in Reading as well. He's on both those shows. He really is. He personifies United. He really does.
Absolutely. Let's go to some comments and questions that have come through since we've gone live. And Let's have a quick look. We've got, we mentioned Tidal earlier. We've actually got the Tidal owner, Taj, watching us live at home via Facebook. Keep up the great work. We'll have to come down to a show soon. So hopefully we'll see Taj down at the Tap Social soon, sampling some of that craft beer, of course. And we've actually got Dale Johnson watching us live at home as well. Hi, Dale. United Wrestling, one of the best venues that he's worked in. Overdue a trip down to Oxford, maybe. Yeah, like I say, Dale Johnson, thank you so much for watching. And I think he's been a part of one or two United shows in the past.
He's got unfinished business.
There's unfinished business. He bottled Simon, and there's been no repercussions from it.
that would be a match I'd like to see for sure. The Last Viking watching us live on YouTube. The Tap Social and United Wrestling go hand in hand. The venue and the people are incredible. He asks, or the Last Viking asks, what was your favourite moment of 2023? I'm assuming he's referring to in a United Wrestling ring. So do you have any favourite moments or highlights from last year, guys?
I've got to say, my personal favourite is probably different from everybody else's, just because I love the moment. And it was at End Zone, the first show of 2023, when I stepped in as referee in Josh Folds and Memes' match, and I gave him the finger, and then I bottled him, and the whole place was chanting "Fuck you, Mike." That was
something we say regularly anyway. So you know,
honestly, that was my moment. I love that. I love the reaction. So much love for Josh. Josh, you know, he is the only person that has been at every single show for United. He has genuinely put the company on his back.
Yeah.
And he should be booked everywhere. Everyone should have Josh, really should. But it doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a good bottling. But that moment was just, for me, was just fantastic. So these two might have different ideas, but
mine is Simon winning the title. I mean, you don't get like feel good moments that much in like a smaller venue. Yeah, that went down really well.
I think that I was going to say the same. I mean, yeah. Besides that, I think is just the spectacle of seeing people jump off the balcony.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
CJ Rollins
did it as well, yeah.
Like dive off the top.
Oh, that was
three people have been off that balcony.
Yeah, and you know, so for me, you know, just seeing them literally put their bodies on the line, and you know, hoping to God that they make it out the other side, is such a huge thrill for me. But yeah, like Craig says, that moment with Simon, his genuine surprise.
See, I filmed that as well, so I got to be very close to see it.
That picture you put up earlier with the ticker tape coming down, it looks like he's looking up at the old WrestleMania sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, he's dead set eyes on me because he's like, what the hell has just happened?
There you go.
Then you think an hour later, trying to sweep up all that confetti.
It gets sticky.
Don't use confetti, guys. It's really hard to clean up.
A place where there's a lot of booze over the floor.
Absolutely. And for me, I mean, my highlight of 2023 has to be the match between Aluna Blue and Nico Angelo. I just thought that just gave me everything I wanted as a wrestling fan and more. It was just so special.
It really was.
The Last Viking again said that dog was so over. And yes, it was. Once again, the Last Viking, he's been a busy guy. What speaks volumes for how good United are is that my father hated wrestling. He now has it marked on his calendar and makes sure that he buys a ticket for every single show. So thank you so much, the Last Viking. Keep sending in your questions, keep sending in your comments. But let me ask you guys, let's take a little bit of a trip down. What's the origins of United Wrestling? Tell us a bit about those early conversations between the three of you about wanting to start your own wrestling group, and how it kind of developed from there.
But there's two stories.
It's
So
on
you've got-
screen in what actually happened.
You've got the real story, and then the one that was the story that got portrayed on camera. The real story was, so I was training. I started training in...
Hang on. take yourselves back. I mean, right back.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
To
So me and Craig, we wrestled in the back garden. We had
every wrestling.
we had the duvets, we had the mattresses. We were jumping off the shed roofs and hitting each other with bits of 2x2 because that was what you did.
don't try this at home, guys.
But interestingly, the biggest when we did this backyard stuff, it was all about stories. Even then, it was still about stories, and that hasn't changed. But yeah, so then I trained at the Projo, which became the Knuckle Locks and Hustle, and a few other places. And nothing was happening. I was getting told you were really, really good. You're good. You're really good. You should be good and stuff. And I was making the rounds. I was shaking hands. I was putting myself out of money, driving people's rings around everywhere and doing different things, and it just nothing was happening. And then we went off, and we were just like, this is ridiculous.
Saw the UK tournament.
Yeah, we went and saw the NXT UK tournament, and it was like, this is ridiculous. Why when I message a company, do they not even get back to me? Not even a sorry, we're not interested. Just a nice reply. That's all it takes. You don't have to go, yeah, I want you. Of course, everyone's got a budget, but just a sorry, we've got no space for you at the moment. It'd just been nice to get that. And so we just said, let's just do it ourselves, and let's try and set out this. We will try to reply to everybody. I'm not saying we do it, because I'd imagine if I looked at my inbox, I reckon about 95% responded to everybody. But I don't want to say I definitely do it. But that was kind of where we started. It was, let's just give everyone a stage.
How hard could it be?
Yeah, how hard could it be? Just respond to everybody and just make a nice environment where everybody can just come out and do their craft. And it was always about just giving people that stage. And from that point to day one, I suppose we've got to talk about the show that wasn't in between that. So we did a show. We went to do a show called the Mutts Nuts, which would be our very first show. We're going to do a tournament, crown the champion. That's where this guy comes in. So we wanted him. We wanted
authority figure.
An authority figure. I was going to wrestle on the show. Craig was going to do the other stuff. We were like, let's get the authority figure. Let's get the manager, the owner. And that's where Pete came in.
The boss.
We booked it, started putting our wrestlers, and then it all fell apart. And the venue let us down at the last minute, and we had to cancel the show. And it was like, oh, okay. So it turns out this wrestling stuff's really quite tricky. Let's try again. And that's when we eventually came about to day one and did It's Kicking Off. And it was such a buzz. Honestly, stood there. It was me and him. I wasn't wrestling. I'd stopped at this point.
That's right.
So I was like, let's just host it together. Me and you, we're two mates. Let's just do that. And it was fantastic. And it just grew from that point to what it is now. But that's the true origins story of it, really. So, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say were some of the key learning points from the first two shows? Because obviously, after that second show, the world closed down. We didn't see any more UK wrestling for 18 months. I know you came back in about October 2021, but those first two shows, I think you ran a show in 2019 and then early 2020, obviously 4 years ago, as we established earlier. But what were some of the biggest learning experiences or kind of moments from those two shows, being new promoters and kind of finding your feet and learning as you were going?
I think, I don't know about these two, but one of the biggest things I've learned is there's a lot of politics in wrestling. There's a lot of politics, and most of it is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a business, and if you run it professionally and treat people as individuals, not as business acquaintances or one-time transactions or just a number, suddenly this gets a whole lot easier when you're just talking to them on a one-to-one basis, and it's not come in, do this for me, see you later, but actually just go, mate, I really want to work for you. What can you bring? What can we do for you? Because there were so many things early on where they're going, you can't do that. No, you don't do that.
That's
no,
not
you can't.
The done thing.
That's not the way it's done.
Well, I found that, didn't I? When I first joined into these guys, I've come from a background of running events, which there's contracts, there's paperwork here, there's paperwork there, there's agreements, there's so and so will do X, Y, and Z for them. And so I'm going to them and say, well, how do you guys sign the wrestler onto the roster and run that? Where's the contract? Where's the bit that says they will, turn up at such and such time? Oh no, we don't do any of that. And so for me, there's a steep learning curve, and I think we kind of found a middle ground, didn't we? That we thought actually we can make a difference. We can make it fairer to wrestlers.
Yeah.
That's when we started looking at equity and
Yeah.
mission,
Yeah, we did a lot of work with
statements.
equity just after the Speaking Out campaign. We never got caught up in any of it, which is fantastic. Because we worked with people that we thought were good guys, you know, and good girls. You know, there was no, oh, we're going to book this person because we should. It was always about, oh, this person is like a really nice person to work with. Let's work with them.
Yeah, it's so important how they are backstage,
Yeah.
not just.
I think,
in the
I mean,
ring.
you've been backstage at one of our events. So I'd say that one of the highlights of United is that backstage area where you've just got like-minded individuals
Doesn't seem any stress.
sharing
Yeah.
and supporting
stress
and building
about it.
each other up. It's fantastic, and that's what we want. We don't want anything else. And if people upset that balance, that's when potentially we don't want to work with them. So we've always tried to maintain that backstage area. And that's what I think. That's what biggest learning curve was. Like, advice is great, experience is better. So yeah, that was my learning curve anyway.
Yeah, I've got to back you up on the backstage atmosphere. Is very, very cool backstage. Very friendly, very light. Everybody's kind of in it for the same goal, for the same reasons, and all aiming towards the same goals. But obviously, your first show back, day 3, October 2021. Now, having only had 2 shows under your belt before the pandemic, did it feel like you was almost starting again? You didn't really have any momentum behind you, no stories or anything like that you could really refer back to. It must have felt like you were starting from scratch all over.
Oh, massively so. Yeah, it was. So not only have we had a pandemic in the middle of it, there was Speaking Out campaign as well. We had brought a ring as well, so that was the first time we'd ever put up our own ring. I mean, I've put up many in the past, but never our own one. We were in a new venue, and we were at a kind of point where we had to drop a lot of the stories that we were working with because none of it made sense anymore.
That's right.
We had one where the Blighters at the time who were booked were attacking people, but that was 2 years ago. None of those people surely they're not still injured 2 years later. So it was like, right, it's a refresh.
The first reboot.
You know, and you're exactly right. It really was like, okay, well, let's go do a thing and see what happens.
I think that's something we've never been afraid of doing, though, is actually just reassessing and just going, you know what?
Yep.
The direction we're going in, we need to take
Things
a
change.
hard left.
Things
Because we
change.
have to. sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
You need to be dynamic.
You've got to be dynamic. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be organic with it as well.
Things happen. You can get messages the night before a show going, I'm really sorry, but I've broken my ankle or done my neck in, or you know, whatever. And you go, okay, cool, awesome. I can deal with this the night before. You know, and you just have to. It is what it is. That's wrestling. That's why we love it. It's beautiful. It's great.
Absolutely. And we spoke earlier about the Tap Social, but you started using the Tap Social for day 5. And I feel that that's where United started to find its identity once they started performing out of that venue. I think you touched on it earlier on, but I think that was a really, really fundamental movement or moment of growth or progression for United as soon as they moved into that venue, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was so interestingly, and we spoke about this in the past, the 3 of us. we never changed the way we booked our shows. We always booked the shows the same way, the same idea, the same mentality. Nothing was different apart from day 1 to day 5. It was all the same. So why was day 5 so good? Because it was now in the right venue. So our attitude,
One of the most important things.
our attitude now matched the venue's attitude, and it was that kind of, oh, okay, that I get it now. It's kind of symbiotic and it's working together. There was a lot of other stuff that went on that. The show was very
hectic.
It was an interesting show for sure. Like there's a lot that went on, but it was also very eye-opening in a lot of different ways. A lot of people coming forward with stuff, going, "Here's some advice. Here's some ideas. What about this? What about that? Have you heard this?" You know, and suddenly you start going, "Okay, well that's making a lot of sense. Actually, I hadn't thought of this." And, you know, I don't want to go into it too much, but it was really interesting to hear that. But yeah, honestly, the Tap Social on day 5. That was the true reset. That was a true start of the company. You could almost, I wouldn't because they're that important, but you could almost forget the first 4 shows and just start from day 5. They are as simple as that.
Yeah. And you mentioned about the four pillars of United Wrestling a bit earlier on, but I mean, I was going back through your match cards and your early shows, and certainly your shows in 2022 leading into 2023. And I think that the names that really jumped out to me as possibly that they could be described as the backbone of United Wrestling. You got the likes of CJ Carter, Josh Nomax or Josh Folds, Rex Armstrong, Memes. Dare I say it, Harry Sefton as well has been there, from the early days. But these names and probably a few others that you're going to kind of remind me of could be considered the backbone of United Wrestling from the very early days, from day one.
Yeah, well, the only two that from day one were Memes and Josh. Josh is truly
And
good.
us three.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I think we were.
were.
You've missed some shows.
We've missed a few
But
more
yeah,
things.
that is a good list of names. You've got to have the Odyssey in there. You need a Luna and you need Questy as well. They're just fantastic people.
I think at the end of the day, we were all part of a big machine, and whilst like you say, these guys are the pillars, and they have been there from the start. They are, they're just part of it. We couldn't have done it without everyone, and everyone's
true.
been,
Yeah,
from day one. No matter whether they've played a simple walk-on part or whether they've been there at every show, it's all helped get us to where we are now. And
Everyone was kind of united, if you will.
but you know what I mean? It's that.
Get
It's
out.
that got us there now. It's got us to where we are now, and we try and pay it forward, and like I say, we sort of recognise those people that have played the bigger parts, perhaps, but there's still thanks to those that played the smaller parts.
There are people that we talk about this all the time. Like we hate getting people in for kind of a one and done.
Yeah.
Hate it, just hate it, because everyone's so talented and in their own right. You could be the best wrestler in the UK, or you could be just starting out. You've still got a place. It's one.
Prove yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's so hard because I get messages like, have you looked at this person? You're like, do you know what? Yeah, I have, but to get them in, I have to lose someone else, and I don't want to, but I do want this person at the same time. So it is hard, and you're absolutely right. So you might get people in, like, we've had Haskins on back at day 6, lined it up, him and Danny Black. What a match, Both of them.
You weren't there.
Both of them only about had one match with us. They are both coming back at some point because they're both amazing. And that's the hard bit. So you do have the pillars, you do have your Odysseys and your Josh and your Memes and all these people in Questy that are absolutely carrying this company through their hard work, their graft, their enthusiasm as well, which is so understated. But you've also got the ones that have come in, done their little bit, and they've just helped carry those things over.
Yeah, all part of a bigger machine. But Wrestling Outsiders are watching us live at home. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. So many of our favourite moments from 2023 took place in your company. Here's to 2024 and far, far beyond. So thank you so much, Wrestling Outsiders. Let's have a look, guys, if we can, at Flip the Script, March the 10th, from the Tap Social and the matches that have been announced so far. So we've got Nadia Sapphire versus Ronnie Knox versus Violet Knight, and a triple threat women's match there. But this is going to be a very, very intriguing match. And I've worked with all three of these in the past at various companies. And you've got them in a triple threat match on March the 10th. Tell us a little bit about that match and preview it for us if you can.
Yeah, so obviously we've had Violet on a couple of times. She's great. I think she's going to have a really good year. I was just looking at some of her social stuff recently. I see that she's formed a team with CJ Rollins. Because we said CJ Carter earlier.
Too
And
many CJs.
she's going to have a really good year. That's for sure. And she's great. And again, a very nice person. We had Ronnie on before a couple of times.
Against Luna.
We had against Luna, and it was a really good match. And it's just that moment of time, when can we get her in? And obviously having Nadia on is always been good. We've not had her before, but she's done amazing things, and obviously very synonymous with other companies that are nearby. So that's going to be let's throw all these dynamic pieces into one match and see what happens. Again, it's their stage.
Absolutely. And we've got to talk about Aluna, the current future-proof champion for United Wrestling. And Aluna will be there on March the 10th, flip the script, to address the future of the future-proof championship. So I don't know if there's anything you can divulge, if you can enlighten us at all, but what are you expecting to see from Aluna on March the 10th?
I have absolutely no idea. Got a message from Aluna. She's picked up a nasty injury, so obviously she can't work the original match as planned. And she just said, "Can I have a bit of ring time? I'd like to talk about the championship." So who knows?
There we go. You'll have to be there to find out, I suppose.
Yeah,
be there to find out. And it ties in with this match here as well, because you've got James Farrell, who was meant to be facing Aluna, if I'm not mistaken, for the Future Proof Championship, or for Aluna's Future Proof Championship. That is not happening, but James Farrell will still be there against, as it stands at the moment, a mystery opponent.
Yeah, no idea who it's going to be. I think we're going to have to put a bounty out or see what happens from that point.
There we go. And let's talk about this one here. Adonis Payne will be defending his Phantomweight Championship against Livy Grace and Josh Folds. And we neglected to mention earlier, Josh Folds, I believe, is a former two-time United champion. Yes. But here, this time round, he's going to be going after Adonis Payne's Phantomweight Championship, and Livy Grace will be added to the mix as well. But a very, very exciting triple threat match there for the Phantomweight Championship.
Yeah, so we've got Josh was meant to face Adonis at Seasons Beatings last year, to the last show of last year. But Harry Sefton decided it'd be really fun to beat him up on the way to the ring and took his spot. So it's like, you know what, Josh, you get the match. But unfortunately, we also want to have Livy Grace in there as well. So Livy Grace was is a very cathartic moment. She was one of the ones that was booked on the show that never was. Mm-hmm. And we haven't had it since. And it was really interesting. So I went into my Facebook page and I was like, we really want to get Livy, and she's fantastic. And the last message I'd sent to her was saying, "Look, I'm really sorry, but the show's been cancelled." And then the next message was, "Do you want to come work for us?" And there's 4 or 5 years in that gap. And it was, wow, that's an amazing thing to have. And I spoke to her loads since. Can't wait to have her on. It's gonna be great to finally work with her after all this time.
Yeah, it's going to be great to get to Livy Grace in a United ring finally. And we spoke about them earlier. The Dogs Bollocks, Kira Kamira and Scotty Rourke going up against Scouse and Proud, Harley Hudson and Lizzie Evo. And I think that might be Lizzie and Harley's first trip down to United Wrestling, but they will be going up against the Tag Team Championships champions, the Dogs Bollocks. And that is going to be a mouth-watering tie, if ever I've seen one, and a match I'm certainly looking forward to. What about you guys?
Main event, like it could very well be the main event.
I think that's going to go off.
It is possibly the most northern match I think we've ever done.
But Kira is
very southern, so she's northern, North France. So
It's definitely south of
but yeah, I can't wait for that match. I really can't wait for that match. It was something that I was like, it'd be great to get Lizzie and Harley in. Like, and they're obviously doing a tag team. Do you know what? I'd like to see them against the Dogs Bollocks. What a great match. Let's do that. Hopefully they don't take the belts up north, because that could cause some issues.
There we go. And we have to talk about this. The Questicles will be in full force. The Simon section will be in full force on March the 10th when Nina Samuels makes, I think she might be making her debut for United for the Championship. The United Wrestling Championship will be on the line. Nina Samuels, one of the very best wrestlers, performers in the UK, going up against Simon Quest. That is, I'm guessing, going to be the main event, and that is going to be a banger.
It's going to be fantastic. Simon's run has been, it's not been the longest one so far. He's 100 odd days. Yeah. But in that time, he's had Bullet, Tommy Kyle, Alexis Falcon, Ameens, and now Nina Samuels. It's just gone. Yeah, okay, you got to run with the belt. How about you face just about every massive person in the country that we can possibly think of?
Yeah,
there are no. I could not think of a bigger name than Nina Samuels to get in. She's got 8 championships across the UK at the moment. So yeah, good luck, Simon. She may be adding another one to that. So
wow.
Not be happy.
Yeah, the Questicles may riot if Nina wins.
But that is an absolutely stacked show. And like I say, we're intrigued to find out what Luna has to say about the future of the Future Proof Championship. We're intrigued to see who James Farrell's opponent might be. And you've got a stacked card there with some of the best talent, not just on the United roster, but from around the UK. But that is going to be one to watch. And for anybody watching or listening live at home, guys, I'm assuming there might be a few tickets still available. If so, where can my viewers, listeners go and get their tickets for the next show, Flip the Script, tonight?
Yeah, so head over to Eventbrite, just type in United Wrestling UK, and it'll come up. Alternatively, you can hit any one of our social media pages, and there are many, many links on all of them. Eventbrite, and it's on there, and they are selling fast. I would be shocked if it doesn't sell out, given we have never sold. We sold
every show.
Every show is sold out as a tap, so you might want to get on it quickly before why you can.
Yeah, don't rely on there being tickets on the door.
We were turning people away at shows, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, and you've got all of United's socials running along the bottom of the screen. So just go to their Facebook, their X, or their Instagram. Links will be there, or just go to Eventbrite and grab your tickets today. Don't be that guy that misses out for sure. But while we've got Craig, who is over on the left-hand side of the screen there, otherwise known as Hellfire Designs, and you do all the graphics for United Wrestling, and you've also designed all of the belts for United Wrestling, haven't you, Craig?
Yeah.
So let me just bring up some pictures here. Simon Quest with the United Championship. You've obviously got Aluna with the Future Proof Championship there. That's not a great picture. That's an even better one there. And of course, you've got the Phantomweight Championship, and of course the tag team titles. All of them very, very smart, very beautiful championships, I've got to say. And I know that you design championships for companies all over the world, but tell us specifically about the United belts and some of the kind of inspiration behind your designs for those in particular.
The main inspiration was the hexagonal shape. If you look at pretty much every belt, there is some sort of hexagon in there somewhere. Maybe if it's the shape of the main plate, very obviously like the main title, but the tags, the background patterning is all hexagons as well. So there's a lot of hexagons.
Yeah. And when did you start designing championship belts? Give us a little bit of an origin story as far as how that all started.
When was the original show, the show that never happened?
2018.
Then. It was the first bout I started was our bout, which isn't on the wall actually.
No, it's in the garage.
Private place.
Yeah.
that one's on the wall. What more do you want?
And I mentioned that you've designed championships for companies all over the world. And I think that anybody that follows you and Hellfire Design, certainly on Instagram, will have seen that you've designed recently the brand new championships for TNA Wrestling. And I'm going to bring up some pictures here. I think this is the digital media title for TNA. You also designed the new X Division Championship and the new world title for TNA as well. And let's not forget, you also designed the TNA Knockouts Division Championship belt, and of course sported there by Jordynne Grace at this year's Royal Rumble on the WWE Network. And I know that was something you wasn't expecting when you saw Jordynne Grace come out with one of your designs, but that's pretty cool to have been asked to design all of the championships for TNA, my friend.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I mean, I did the initial designs back in March, April time of last year. So they've been done for quite a while. Been sat on it for a long time.
And when Jordynne came out at the Royal Rumble, obviously it was an unexpected entrant into the Women's Rumble, but even more unexpected for yourself to see her with one of your designs around her waist.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that at like 2 a.m. So it definitely woke me up.
A pleasant surprise. It kept you awake for the rest of the show.
She's available for March.
And just a little bit of a plug for yourself. If there are companies out there worldwide, because this is watched in many countries, and want to get in touch with you to maybe design a championship for them, how can they do so?
Best way is Instagram, which is Hellfire_designs. I'm really bad at emails and X or Twitter as it's actually called. But yeah, Instagram is definitely the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, let's talk about the remainder of 2024, because I know that you've got your schedule lined up. Obviously, you had the show in Reading earlier this month, the 4th of February. We got Flip the Script just around the corner, 11 days' time, March the 10th, back at the Tap Social. And then you've got shows, let's see, in May, June, August, October. And I'm not sure if you've got any other shows kind of dotted in there. I think you said this is going to be your busiest year on record.
Yeah, so we got 4th Feb. There was Double Barrel, which I debuted there, which was just a fantastic little venue. Wow, it was big. Yeah, it was big.
Yeah,
and I think we again fit more people in there. Then we got March 10th, which is obviously the next one. Then we're back at That Social for May, and we then go back to Double Barrel Brewery on the
May 19th.
May 19th. And then we've got June 30th, August 18th, September 22nd, back at Reading again. Monster Bash 3 in October. We've also got, I assume it's not a spoiler, 26th of October, we're back doing the birthday event for Phantom, like we did last year. Obviously, we don't ticket that event, which is why it's not on there. And yet, we've got December 8th, I think, at Tap Social as well. So, and potentially another one in Reading in December as well. So yeah, but 11 shows.
So tell me about that. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about the Tap Social being your, United's home, but you're using the double-barreled out of Reading. I think you've used them twice so far. Once last year, once already this year, and many more times to come. And obviously, you're branching out a little bit, using a different venue, using a different town. What's the thought process behind that? And are we likely to see other towns get a visit or a show from United in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've only used double barreled once, which was this year. That was the first time.
Right.
The one last year was at somewhere called the Phantom Brewery, also in Reading. That's kind of 10 minutes away from each other. And we're doing them again in October as well. So we do their birthday event for them.
More of a sort of standalone.
Yeah, and then we just wanted to kind of go. The Tap's been amazing. The Tap is our home. We cannot ever foresee a time where we're not at the Tap Social. They are an amazing venue and amazing people. But we could do more. We've got more months. There's more in us. There's more towns. So let's look. Where is wrestling currently not happening? Where could we make it happen? And as far as I could work out, there I could find nothing in Reading. And I was like, let's go to Reading then. Let's go and find somewhere. And we found another brewery in Reading. Like, maybe that's our USP that we wrestle.
But it goes back to what we said in terms of opening those doors and breaking down those barriers and making sure that we're making the noise in the industry that you don't have to have man versus men and women versus women, and there is no barrier to the performance and to the competition.
Yeah, and I absolutely we've already looked at a few other venues for next year somewhere else. It'd be nice to look at somewhere kind of Aylesbury, Wickham, that sort of area. Or we also spoke about Swindon, although it's quite a lot of wrestling in Swindon.
So we don't want to step on toes.
We're not here. Yeah, we don't. That's one thing we don't want to do. Is we don't want to step on toes. We don't want to rub shoulders and upset people. That's not what we're about.
Wrestling should be.
We should be working together.
Cohesive. Yeah.
Let's work together.
United.
Let's please promote it. Work together. It's
easier for everyone.
Yeah. The more eyes on wrestling, the better it is for the scene. It's just that's one of the biggest things that has been frustrating when you're going, let's just work together. And they go, no, I don't want to work with you.
Because we work closely with a few other promotions to make sure we don't have overlapping dates and things.
Well, you look at say Night, which is another fantastic promotion, and obviously we love CJ Carter, who's great. Annoyingly hurt his back because he might have still been our champion if he hadn't. But we use a lot of similar people, so if we didn't speak to each other, we'd clash, and we wouldn't be able to have a Luna or Adonis, or he might not be able to have a Luna or Adonis because we want to use the same people. So by talking to each other, we don't have that problem. Same with Sacrifice. That's another fantastic promotion. We just want to work with people. The more people that are watching wrestling, the better it is for everybody. So let's just work together.
Okay, let's jump to some more comments. And Richie watching us live via YouTube. Will United come to Cardiff? So he's
That's a
keen to get you down
drive.
into South Wales.
That's a long drive.
I think you could find that. Great.
Well, we looked. So funny enough, we looked at a venue. Actually, you didn't come
No, I
for
wasn't on
once.
that one.
It was me and him.
It was.
We looked at a venue in Bristol, and it was a fantastic venue. But again, you've got so much going on in Bristol already. It was, do you need more people in that same area? You know, and so I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Never say never.
I would definitely not say no. It's not immediately on my radar. But hey, if we found the right venue in the right place, yeah. Absolutely.
If you think you've got
If you got a brewery in Cardiff, that needs some
I'm sure there is. I'm sure Richie will find you one anyway for sure. And the last Viking again, he's just got his 4 tickets for Flip the Script. Cannot wait.
I'll just check that, shall I? Hang on.
But we look forward to seeing him down the Tap Social March.
He hasn't found more tickets.
Final question for the three of you, and like I say, it's been 4 coming up 5 years of United Wrestling, but you know the last 2 or 3 years proper. But what are some of your, or maybe your top 1 or 2 proudest moments of working with United Wrestling since its inception, or maybe more recent times? But have you got any really proud moments that you can hang your hat on?
Yeah, mine's really, it's so boring. It's such a rubbish, boring moment. But it was so good. So it was at Monster Bash 2, and I was upstairs, and so I think Simon Quest's match was on, and everyone was going mental. And I was sat talking to Lana Austin, Rob Drake, and she just turned around. She went, "It's amazing here, isn't it? You guys have got something special." And it was just that moment of validation from somebody who was a massive name in the scene. It was just a fantastic little moment, and I was like, "You know what? Thank you. I really appreciate that." There was a similar moment. I've got a group with, ironically, the Pillars of United in it. And I was talking to them recently. I said, look, I really value feedback. I really want feedback. I want people to say, that was rubbish. That was a really stupid idea. Why did you do that? Or have you thought about this? I really want that. So I said, look, guys, I trust your opinion. I trust you to give me an honest answer. What do you think we're doing? And they were all just like, guys, mate, you're amazing. You do fantastic work. And I was like, cheers, guys. You know, it just means so much when other people go, you're one of the best companies in the UK. You know, we get talked about in rings where people like Progress and Repro, and you go, wow, dude, mate, yeah, awesome. What are you supposed to say to that, you know? So that's my moment. So those little comments mean so much.
Yeah, and just on that, before Craig and Peter jump in, I was observing Lana and Rob and all the other talent. Because of that balcony area, it's a beautifully situated area for the talent to kind of soak in the atmosphere, soak in the rest of the action. And I know that Lana was really enjoying the action. And when I had Lana on the show in December, she said how much she enjoyed her match at United Wrestling for, was it Monster Bash 2 October? But Craig, let me hand it over to you. What are some of your proudest moments of working with United Wrestling?
I think mine would probably be the first show we did at TAP, because it was very stressful doing 2 shows in a row that's barely sold anything. So it makes it feel like, what's the point of all the aggro and doing all this? And then Mike and Pete doing their whole riling up the crowd at the beginning of the show, and you're actually hearing people. It's rewarding in the fact that you feel like, actually, we have done something right with this one.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, isn't it? Because we're not. I'd like to think there's not many promoters out there that are really like, we are going to be the next WWE. Maybe that should be your dream, but you just want to go and have a really good time with your mates, and that's what it's about. You know, we're not making hundreds and thousands of pounds. You know,
what you make
most shows you either don't make any money, or what you do make goes straight back into the next show. So those moments where the crowd are just no one's on their phones, or no one's sat back. Everyone is forward. Their eyes are locked on what's going on. They're screaming. They're shouting.
And they're not quiet. Yeah.
Those moments.
They are making noise.
You stole my arm now. I was going to go. Yeah. I mean, the proud moment for me is
going through a door.
Going through a door needing a quadruple bypass. I mean. No, the just hearing the reaction of the crowd. I mean, I'm often, if I'm not doing something, at ringside, pretending I know what I'm doing, then I'm normally at the back helping Gary, with audio visual
Tech support.
and tech support. And so I get a very sort of panoramic view of the crowd from the back, just kind of seeing their reaction, watching where it's going off and seeing those little pockets of noise that start to spread across the crowd, and then you end up with the opposite side, over in the sofas and
The splash zone.
in the splash zone, sort of back. They'll have their favourites, and questicles are going off at someone else. It's just amazing. I try and at the end of the show as well. I always try and sort of say thank you to as many of the crowd as they're leaving, because at the end of the day, we could put on a show. It could just cost us money. Without these guys coming in and paying a ticket, we wouldn't be able to carry on. So a big shout out to the crowd that come and join us. So that fills my heart when I see their reaction.
What was the words?
Okay.
Yeah, I echo all of that, and I can't emphasise enough how special United was, certainly to my fandom in 2023, and having the opportunity to work there as your backstage reporter, your backstage interviewer. I had a lot of fun there, and looking forward to March the 10th. But before we let you go, an opportunity for you to throw out your socials where we can reach out, say hi, and find out more about United Wrestling on X, Instagram, Facebook. But the floor is yours, guys. Where can we find you and learn more?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram are nice and easy. They are just United Wrestling UK, all one word, which is nice and easy. And probably, I'd say Instagram is the go-to place. Twitter
X
is official UW UK. And please go and give us a follow. We don't have a massive following on Twitter. I don't know why. I suppose it's because I don't engage with it particularly well. But yeah, it'd be great to have some more followers on Instagram. So please, on Twitter. So please go and do that. But yeah, Instagram is probably the place. Alternately, you can head over to our website, which is just unitedwrestlinguk.com. It's got links to our YouTube channel, our socials, to Eventbrite, and to our merchandise store as well.
There we go. And speaking of merchandise, you do have a Shopify. Tell us a bit about that. What sort of merchandise items we can expect and purchase on there?
So everything that we sell at the show is on there. So all the t-shirts, all the things that we've had over different times. Even if we've run out of stock, Even if we run out of stock at the shows, you can order it from there. You've also got exclusive stuff on there, like our hats and stuff, and the hoodies that I'm wearing. We don't have these at the show, so they are online exclusives. Plus, we did a social campaign recently to vote for our next design, which is the one that you've very nice got up on the graphic with the United Jack behind it. Yeah, Jack, is that right?
That works.
Yeah, let's go with that. And then all the other ones that didn't get voted are also available on the website as well. So we only have one set printed. So yeah, go over there. There's loads of stuff on there, and I'm adding stuff to it all the time. So
there we go. And
Carly for running the merch at the shows.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
100%. And just a quick final plug from me, of course. Don't forget to like and subscribe and get ready. Set your reminder for Eddie Dennis. He'll be joining me live on Wrestling with John's Monday, the 4th of March. Just next Monday, a few days around the corner. Please go and check that one out. Check out my socials to see the full lineup for March, but it all kicks off next Monday with Eddie Dennis. But Mike, Pete, Craig, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor speaking to you for the last hour and 18 minutes, all about United Wrestling and what we have to look forward to. And don't forget, there are still tickets available for Flip the Script, March the 10th from the Tap Social Movement in Oxford. Check out their socials or their website. Get your tickets today at Eventbrite. But guys, I just want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. And can't wait to see you in 11 days' time.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Take care, guys. See you soon.